progress on her 30-day challenge and fitness and health in general, especially during the pandemic. So let's start with Janelle. What's going on with your 30-day challenge?
Well, today is the 27th of August, so we are 26 days into the challenge. So there's only 4 more days left before the challenge is over. As I mentioned before, we're doing 30 days straight of exercising. We are doing ab work and cardio work on the even days of the month. And on the odd days of the month, we're doing some walking or jogging or running for 30 minutes and some stretching and also doing some planks. So, as I said, we're already 26 days into the challenge, only 4 days left. And I will say that I've been working out each day, and I'm seeing that there is some participation from the folks on my Facebook group. I see a lot of folks are actually watching the videos. Some are not only watching, but actually doing the workouts. Maybe not always when I'm doing them, but they'll let me know if they're doing them later on in the day. So I'm seeing quite a bit of activity and doing a lot of activity.
Okay. So, this is day what, 26? 26.
Yeah, so today, as I mentioned, this is the day that we, day 26, so it's the 27th of August, so it's an odd day of the month. So I am also doing the Couch to 5K app, and I'm on week 7, day 2, and I can't seem to get off of day 2. And what happens during week 7 is you have to you warm up by walking for 5 minutes, and then you jog for 25 minutes straight without stopping at all. And day 1 I was able to complete. I did the 25 minutes. I was so proud of myself. I finished. I actually could have ran a little further, probably done a little more than 25 minutes. Then when I get to day 2 of week 7, I can't get to 25 minutes for some reason. And I realized that I was probably doing it too close to when I did the previous day. So I can't really, well, you know what, I'm not even sure I can attribute it to that, because I also didn't eat that morning. So I think I was asking you your advice about that, whether, how much I should eat in the morning before I do my run, and I hadn't eaten anything. So you were saying you need some fuel in order to be able to have the energy to do it. So
right,
yeah, but
because basically it's just like if you were about to run, say you were going to do a 5K, you gotta eat enough fuel to be able to sustain through the entire run. So you got to be mindful of that. I know you're doing the challenge. So what, as far as your eating habits are, what are you doing for the challenge?
well, what I'm doing is I'm cutting out, well, not completely, but I'm cutting down on my carbs. I'm cutting way back on sugar. Anything with added sugar I'm staying away from. I'm drinking water only. I must say I have had, it's probably been maybe 2 or 3 days out of the 26 days so far that I've probably had something other than water to drink, like some unsweetened iced tea. I think a couple days ago I did get a little sip of lemonade that probably had some sugar in it too, but for the most part I've been sticking to staying away from the sugar, staying away from candies. Like I said, I'm not eating the carbs. I'm staying away from chips, bread, pasta, any of that stuff, any of that heavy food that would make me sluggish and not able to complete the challenge, or not able to perform as I'd like to perform.
Okay. So I would just say, make sure, since you're cutting out so much of the carbs, you got to replace it with something that's a little energy boosting in it. That's probably the only reason why you're not completing the run. straight through. It's because you don't have enough fuel in you to do so. So it's great that you've changed up and cut out the carbs for this time, but at the same time you have to find something to replace it with. Because that happens a lot of times with people who they start working out, they start switching to doing something different from what they normally do, and then you see that immediate drop off in energy. And sometimes people give up because they feel like, well, this isn't working, or I'm too old, or I just can't do this.
I am too old.
But it actually might be, you might need to check to see that you're replacing with something that's going to give you energy that you're losing.
Yeah, and when you said that, you just reminded me of when I did a keto challenge about a year or so ago, and I was also doing boot camp. And I did well with the keto, but I was so tired. Like, I didn't really have the energy to do the boot camp. Once I was finished the challenge, and I did start, I didn't go all in with the carbs, but once I started, adding a little, like replacing them or adding a little something more into my diet, I had more energy to be able to do the boot camp because, that's all outdoor workout and it's strenuous, and like you said, I needed some fuel to be able to complete it, so it's all coming back to me now.
Right. Yeah, but that happens, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted us to actually sit and have these discussions, because you're in the middle of a challenge, you're doing something, but I don't want to just talk about the accomplishment itself. I want to talk about the things that you might run into, such as the drop in energy.
Yeah.
Because people will get discouraged, but you need to understand this is part of the process. It takes people a while to really find what works for them specifically, because every challenge or every lifestyle change of how you eat, because I'm trying not to say diet, because I don't want to say diet, because diet is bad. So what you want to do is find a lifestyle change on how you eat that works for you, specifically for you. And that's why a lot of people always suggest consult a nutritionist, so that they can do some tests, run some tests, and then with the results, make a plan that'll work for you, because every plan doesn't work for everybody. And so it's good that you were able to see, okay, you noticed the drop off, but just understanding that drop off is because you cut out something. Because carbs are a fuel, but carbs, if you don't burn off the carbs, they have a negative effect. So you might have to find a happy medium. But for the challenge, you're almost through the challenge. So once you're through the challenge, it might be good to sit down and do some research and figure out what works for you.
Yeah. And when you talk about being discouraged, I actually started feeling a little discouraged. I'm like, oh my goodness, I just ran, I just did like 8 laps around the track, no problem, a week ago. And then 2 or 3 days later, I can't, I'm only maintaining up to 18 minutes, and then I need to stop and start walking. So I'm like, well, why can't I do it now? So, all right, I won't get discouraged. I won't fall into that trap.
Right, because you will plateau. And that's another thing people have to be mindful of. When you're doing different workout routines, you're going to get to the point where your body, like after the beginning of the challenge, up to the point where you ran straight through, that's because your body had something new going on, but then it adjusted to what it is. So once you get to that point, you have to push past that plateau. That happens with everyone when you start doing something like this. So you have to understand, when you get to a certain point, your body's going to say that at first it's going to feel all this extra work going on. It's going to build up all this energy, and you're going to feel great. But then after a while, it's going to become routine to your body.
Yeah.
So then you got to adjust again. So you're probably just at the adjustment period now, where you're going to have to adjust your intake as well as what you're doing. Now keep in mind that if you're eating what you're eating, are you eating the same exact amounts that you did at the beginning of the challenge?
I'm not sure. I have to say that I'm not very good with keeping up with,
Track.
yeah, keeping track of the things that I'm eating and if I'm being consistent with that. I am just not good at that.
Okay. But that's also something to keep in mind, because it might be that because you started cutting out things, you might not be eating as much as you should.
Yeah, because my appetite, I don't have a big appetite, and
So
I just won't eat.
right, and that's another thing you got to be careful of. Just because your appetite drops off, doesn't mean eat less.
Yeah.
Because if you're still doing all that exercise, if you're still doing that same work, you still have to fuel your body. So your body might be saying, hello, feed me, Seymour, feed me.
Okay. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right about that. I'm not really eating the way I should be eating, and as consistently as I should. And when you were talking about the plateauing, that was one of the things that I was talking about in when I do the daily workout. I mentioned, how it started out with taking about 20 minutes to do the cardio and ab workout, and then it dropped down to 15 minutes, and then I think one day I did it in like 13 minutes. So it was just getting easier and easier. I was doing it quicker and quicker. So I was even suggesting to people, if you still have the energy, because we do 2 rounds. So I just add another round. You don't have to stop. I'm only doing 2 rounds during that Facebook post, but I'm also doing kickboxing as well. So just for example, tomorrow we're doing the cardio and ab workout in the morning, and then I have my kickboxing class at 12:15, where I do a lot of the same exercises, so I don't add that additional round. But I do mention that, if folks are doing this and they're not doing anything else, add another round, add some weights into it, and I suggest, different weight exercises to do. Just to keep it, once it gets too easy, you need to keep challenging your body and kind of doing a little muscle confusion. So, like you said, you don't just plateau because you're not really challenging yourself any longer.
Right. And just always remember, if you are trying to cut back, you still need to only be at a 500 calorie deficit. So if you're ordinarily, your body requires you to take in 2,500 calories a day to maintain, you should only drop down to 2,000 calories a day to be able to get the results you want. Anything under that, and your body's going to start to shut itself down from burning anything else off, because it thinks you're starving.
Okay.
Because you're not bringing in as much. So, and if you're doing the challenge and going to kickboxing, you're probably burning a lot of calories, but not bringing enough in. So that is definitely something to keep in mind. So.
Okay, well, too. I'll certainly keep that in mind.
Yeah.
And I notice when I don't schedule my kickboxing correctly, because I need to be scheduling it when I'm doing the walk jog on the odd days of the month, but there's not always a slot available, so I have to get it in when I can. And I noticed that a lot of times I'm not able to be as it's a lot more challenging when I've already done some of the same exercises, like the burpees, which I can't stand anyway, and the push-ups. So it's a lot more strenuous for me.
Okay. All right. Well, we've gotten a good idea on where the challenge is, where you are, and the things you have to look for. Because every routine, you have to have a balance with it. And a lot of people forget to eat because they think they're on this challenge and that they're either trying to lose weight or
Right.
lose inches or what have you. You still got to eat enough to fuel your body, and that's one of those pitfalls that comes along with it.
Agreed.
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 All right. So we covered that, and I am going to try because I now have to get an MRI on my ankle. But I've been doing some research on what upper and lower body workouts I can do even with my ankle. So I'm going to start something on September 1st. I don't know what day that is though. Today's the 27th.
It's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, because the challenge is over on the 31st, which is Monday. That's the
Okay.
last day.
So your challenge ends Monday. My challenge, when you have limited ability to move,
Yeah,
I
limited
guess is the best
mobility.
way. And weight bearing, I'm
Right.
going to be working on some things for that, and I'll start that on Tuesday and keep you posted on that one. All right. Well, this was
Okay.
another good podcast with some information, but don't be discouraged.
I know. I won't.
It's a process. It is a process, and you just have to get used to that.
Okay.
But it's good to do the challenge. It's good to change things up. But you just gotta do some research and find those things that you can eat and take in that will continue to fuel your body even when you cut back. All right.
All right.